This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. 9 people flee a casino, and the terrifying tale they tell is of torture and of murder. Police officer after police officer is caught taking bribes, but it is not all bad news. And a 6-year-old girl is bound with rope and abused by her mother in a case so cruel it is rarely matched. But firstly, our headline story, and it is exactly what the government did not want to hear. After months of cracking down on organised crime in casinos, as there has been yet another escape by people who tell of being tortured, being worked like slaves in the most horrific of conditions. And even worse, they say that they witnessed multiple murders by those that held them captive. 9 Thai nationals rescued at a border checkpoint have claimed that they had set fire to a nearby casino on the Cambodian border so that they could escape a vicious call centre gang. The 8 men and 1 woman told rangers and immigration police at the border checkpoint that they lit a fire at Phu Ly Casino in Poi Phet so they could make their getaway. When discovered, several of the group had severe cuts on their hands, legs and bodies. But more worryingly, some had bruises all over their bodies, showing clear signs of torture. They were, needless to say, taken to the district hospital for treatment. Members of the group told authorities they had sneaked across the border after being promised jobs at that casino, but the jobs turned out to be working for a call centre gang. The group said that the gang threatened to beat or even kill those who refused to make scam calls to deceive fellow Thais back in Thailand. But it gets so much worse, as they also claimed that they had witnessed Thai victims being shot dead by gang members. And it was not just this few, as the group reported that over 200 Thai nationals were now being held prisoner within the casino. The group said they set fire to the building as part of their escape plan, adding that 11 of them had fled, but 2 were recaptured by the gang. Now, this story has caused a firestorm on social media, and police are taking these claims extremely seriously. As in recent years, the numerous cases of this kind of brutality and slavery have plagued Sihanoukville, and it gave the country a very bad name. And the police, as well as the government, have stated in no uncertain terms they are investigating this case, and if true, only the severest penalties will be applied. On this week's extended crime desk, we have not 1, not 2, but 3 cases of corrupt police officers, as well as a case that has caused the deputy PM to tell the cops, go get the killer, no matter what. Do you recall last week we reported on the case of the senior police officer who had been accused of accepting bribes to the tune of over $100,000. He had been reported to the ministry by the lawyer of the very company he took those bribes from. The officer had in fact found that the import company themselves had been breaking the law by illegally importing fake goods. And to make any possible charges go away, the officer took the $100,000 bribe. Well, in this instance, justice has moved very swiftly indeed, and the officer has now been suspended. And it's not just the solitary officer who has been suspended, because the entire police department he worked with has also been closed down. The Ministry of Interior had previously ordered that the suspension of the anti-counterfeit unit was to take effect across the entire country after corruption allegations against numerous officials. And this is good news for all law-abiding officers. When it comes to the words police officer, suspension and bribes appearing in the same sentence, well, here is another. For another police officer has been suspended this week for demanding a bribe just to investigate a case. And this was no junior officer, but the deputy chief of Ponhei-Lu district. And during interrogation, she has confessed to committing this offence. It would seem that a victim of assault had approached the deputy chief to file a complaint, an assault so serious it almost killed him. But instead of empathy and a commitment to her duty, the senior officer demanded an initial payment of $200 just to arrest the culprit. And she made the victim transfer that amount into her bank account. But later, she demanded $300 more in order to arrest the suspect. But yet again, social media won out, as Candale police came to learn about this incident from Facebook and ordered a probe into the allegation. Seeing as the officer involved had demanded the money to be paid into her ABA account, she left a paper trail so wide you could land a Boeing 747 on it. And it left her with no way of denying the fact she had received the money from the complainant. And it was that evidence that lost her career. To complete our 3 stories of cops gone bad, there is also this guy. He used to be a deputy inspector in Kampot, but he has been expelled from the force for drug offences. He seems very young, but had already attained the rank of Lieutenant Colonel of Kampot City Police. But now he has been fired with immediate effect after being found to be involved in drug activities. Now, as to what he was involved in is not specified. It is not stated if he was protecting criminals, a drug user himself, or was in some way profiting from illegal drugs. But the truth is, it does not matter. What does matter is in all 3 of these 3 cases I have mentioned, members of the public have complained. And all 3 occasions the officers have been suspended. And that is hugely reassuring. Some of the general public consider the kingdom to be a slightly lawless place, where corrupt officers are to be obeyed, for they are untouchable. But each and every one of these 3 cases clearly shows if you are a member of the public and you are mistreated by an officer of the law, do not do nothing. Help change the country for the better by reporting them to their seniors and asking that true justice be served. Now to a case I know will upset you, and that is the unbelievably cruel way a child was treated by her relatives. Relatives that should have known an awful lot better. And it's not some drunken uncle or elder sister who in a moment of anger lashed out and committed an act so inhumane it defies belief. This case, quite incredibly, involves not just the child's mother, but also her grandmother. For it was at 11 p.m. on one cool night in the capital when reports came in to the police that the two women were creating a commotion outside their house. Onlookers looked on in horror, and it was them that had notified the police. And what the police found was quite simply staggering. There, in front of the family home, lay a 6-year-old girl who had been tied up. She had been bound by both her hands and her feet, rendering her completely immobile. From statements, it seems the child's misbehaved, and both the girl's mother and grandmother had chased the kid outside. Then the grandmother sat on the girl, and it was the mother that had tied her own daughter up. Even more tragically, sources say that the family has a history of abuse towards the young girl and frequently discipline her very severely. We can only hope she gets the love and the care she needs in the future. But for now, the mother and the grandmother are going to have to answer serious allegations put to them by local police. That last story lingers, doesn't it? A child of 6 being tied up and screamed at by her mother and grandmother. Holy cow, how is that kind of thing even possible? At least such a bad taste. So let us finish this crime desk on a positive note, as the Deputy PM himself has stepped into a legal case that has started a firestorm on social media. He has ordered the immediate arrest of a driver responsible for the death of a man in Phnom Penh. The accident sparked a storm of anger on social media as the driver of the car not only tried to escape after the accident, but then threatened the victim's family not to file a complaint in exchange for $1,000. Yes, 1,000 crappy dollars for committing vehicular homicide. The accident happened a couple of weeks ago, but now the Deputy PM has stepped in, and only a few hours after he did, the prosecutor's officers issued a warrant for the suspect, a 23-year-old male, to be arrested immediately. Now, seeing as this perpetrator previously tried to flee the scene, my money is on he will run again. And the police seem also to think this is a possibility, as authorities have made it clear that the arrest warrant also orders the police to find and bring the suspect to the prosecutor's office. And in the event he goes on the run, they have been ordered to track him down. Tobacco has killed 8 million people, and that's a really big number, isn't it? But that is not in the lifetime of tobacco. That is 8 million people dead in just the last year. It is truly an awful drug. It is unbelievable how powerful it is. I myself used to smoke over 60 cigarettes a day, and giving up nicotine is one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life. Many want tougher controls, and now there is a growing movement within the kingdom to hike tobacco taxes and stop the many thousands of deaths it causes each and every year within the country. The numbers are quite simply horrifying. At current, there is a staggering 15,000 deaths caused by tobacco-related illnesses every single year within the kingdom. That is over 41 people every single day dying completely unnecessarily. At current, Cambodia still has a low tax of 25% on domestic cigarettes and 31% on those imported, which according to the WHO makes the price of cigarettes extremely cheap and encourages young people to become addicted to smoking. The WHO said this week that increasing tobacco tax is the single most effective way of reducing tobacco use. and the numbers of deaths related to smoking. They said that according to a case study by the WHO, if the price of one packet of cigarettes is increased by just 500 real, at least 30,000 people can be prevented from smoking next year. He added that it will also prevent over 100,000 deaths in the next 10 years. The Undersecretary of State at the Ministry of Economy has said that at present taxes on tobacco products are 20% lower than the rest of the ASEAN, and added that the ministry will examine the possibility of increasing those taxes. It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week. Here is your weather, and we're going to have no arsing about this week because we've run over on time. So what you've got is mostly sunshine and some rain. How concise was that? This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.